permission. Okay. So let's make a new object here, which is going to be the game blob. So game blobs will have an account ID. They'll have a blob context, and they will also have blob data. These are strings. So we'll call these contexts, make it a string array, and the response is going to be an array of game.gameblobs. So that'll be our get user blob. You have to be logged in as yourself. You can't target somebody else. That's how we want to roll that around. Let's set up our database rows. So we're going to need some tables in the game database. Let's see, game browser, game. I guess we can throw it in the same thing as the game browser, but maybe we should throw it in something else. We don't have game tables yet. We just have game. This is more infrastructure. It's not game data. So I think we need user tables. Yeah, let's do user tables. So add this file. So what is this going to be? User tables is going to be user blobs. The object is going to be a game dot game blob. Primary keys are going to be what is that name? It's blob context, right? I just want to make sure I got it spelled right. So account ID blob context is going to be our namespace. So okay, that'll work. And we want to add this to a specific database. So what DBs do we currently have? We have a game DB which has user accounts and QoS and products and trash. We have our stat database which has stat history and everything else. I think we want to put this in the game database, so where we've got user accounts and the rest here. So this user table is going to be a user blobs, and the table type is going to be called that. So we'll have a user blobs table, table type of user blobs. And we've got our service call for get user blobs, which should allow us to do the things. So let's generate that up. Duplicate ID 1. Yeah, okay, so we need service call 3. God. One dude at Amazon was writing a blob storage thing for some users where we basically had these string pair, and basically this exact same design. The dude spent like 2 million years writing it, fucked it up, and it like fell over in a playtest. It was just like, god damn it. I have no end of stories of other people fucking up. That is definitely true. I have plenty of stories where I'm the person who screwed up. I just don't tell those stories. Mainly because they're not as interesting to me. I'd rather relish in other people's failure than my own failure. That's just human nature. Right? Everybody thinks that way. Let's also put up our database and let's make our tables. Yeah, complain all you want, Mr. Dolphin. Nobody likes you. Alright, so let's get our SQL scripts for our platform database. There we go. Create user blobs. The only issue here is that blob data is too small. So we need to go to our game objects, and I think it's in length. Let me look at my stats object. I think the stats object actually has the definition for that. Yeah, length. There we go. So the length of this guy, actually we can just go ahead and specify a few smaller lengths here for these things. But the length of the blob data, how big do we want it? How much information are we going to store? So why don't we see, what is this going to look like? So for each one of this will be like missions blob. So we'll have name, missions, right, we'll have an array of, like missions, blah. This is going to have name, mission 00, right? We'll have best tier, diamond or whatever the hell, best duration 1.34. And let's see, how many missions are we going to have? It's going to have some sort of information, right? So it'll be blah, 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 some data, and let's just do something like that. And then let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so that's about 100 missions, and then let's duplicate that, so like 400 missions, or whatever. Let's see what we've got. We have characters without blanks, blah blah blah, current document length 60, so 60,000 characters for this thing. Should we just store it as binary? I mean, we could store it as like a 65536, so we got 64K in each one of these things if we need it to hold our states. Let me just look this up real quick. So varchar MySQL performance. Importance of varchar length in MySQL table. I have a MySQL table where rows are inserted dynamically. I make them a varchar. No, in a sense, your values for storing column are always less than 50 characters. Declaring them as 50 or varchar 200 has the same performance. Not exactly true. So one possible performance impact, MySQL temporary tables and memory tables store varchar column as a fixed length column padding out to the maximum length. If you design varchar columns much larger than the greatest size you need, you'll consume more memory than you have to. Varchar is an ideal solution you describe because it stands for a variable character. The limit based on size varchar selects to take less space. Values are stored as 1 byte in 2 byte length prefix plus data. The length prefix indicates the number of bytes in the value. A column used 1 length byte. Size is performance. The smaller size, the better. not today or tomorrow, but someday your tables will grow. Performance? No. Disk storage? Yes, but it's cheap and plentiful. Unless your database will grow to terabyte scale, you're probably fine. Alright, let's see. Varchar max length MySQL. Before MySQL version can store 255, but from it can store 65535, but it has some limitations of maximum row size. It means including all columns, it must not be more than 65535 bytes. Okay. MySQL has a maximum row limit size. The internal representation of MySQL table has a maximum row limit of 65535 bytes, not counting blob and text types. Blob and text columns can only contribute 9 to 12 toward the row size because their contents are stored separately from the rest of the row. Read more about limits and columns. So I might want to store just a blob for this. So let me look up my type definitions and see if I actually support this for generation. So I just have binary. Trying to think. Okay, so there's text, tiny text, medium text, long text. These correspond to 4 blob types that have the maximum lengths and storage requirements. Alright, so what is text MySQL? Blob and text types. The text to blob size, blah blah blah. What's the damned size, please? Thank you. The only difference is maximum lengths. Alright, yes, I understand that. What are the fucking numbers? Alright, so what is 2 to the 16th? Is that? So blob and text is just 2 to the 16th, so that's that guy. Alright, so text is specifically what we've got here. So what I want to do is kind of take some of this into account. Because the other thing is, if we're loading a long-ass string from the database, it means we're also loading a long piece of information from the game server, the backend platform itself. So 64K, though, isn't a big deal. You know, like, that's not a whole bunch of information for our stuff, so it's not a big deal. Alright, but we definitely want text. Alright, so what I should do, I guess I'm gonna have to upgrade some of this a little bit with my type lookups, perhaps, because I'd like to use a text object type. I think I can get away with it, so... Let me go to some of the database stuff here and see what I can do with it. So if I went to one of these guys, does any of you read from the database? No, it doesn't look like it. Alright, so let's just open this up. So this is going to be set sub0 dot get, is it get text? It's just get string, isn't it? Yeah, what is in string though? Retrieves this, this isn't when accessing in varchar long in varchar. Alright, so we can get rid of that. So the SQL type is get string, and the null set is types text, I believe. Okay, so that should do that. So let's go through each one of our types, go through JavaScript, and add the text type. Protobuffers. Basically, I'm just copying the string label and doing that the same. Default text type is there, and in C++ land, it's going to be the same as string. Alright. So let's see if I remember anything about my autogen systems. Unable to find text for blob data in game. Type of text. Alright, so I need to go fix my stuff. Alright, I can start with basically implementing this method. So throw this down here, and I need to implement this. Since I added it to the service call, I'll need to fix this. So called to get a user blob. I will also have to implement a set. Hello, Karakan. Sorry, I was not looking at chat. I was focusing on other things. But one of the things is, what if you may have seen, Twitch has the beta for low latency streaming. So I think I was seeing about 4 seconds of latency between reality and video, so that's kind of cool. Alright, so I need to go to my tools. Is that so? Yes, it should be so. So templating, code generator. Where is the cogent stuff? Templating data structures, string templater, file templater. No, these are not what we need. Cogen, data structures, timestamp float. Okay, so here it is. String. This is going to be underscore text. And we need to add you here. So let's see if it does it. Let's see if it works. Interesting if it works. Yes, it is. Unable to find text for blob data in game. Okay, where are we? Where are we running this guy? Generating service code. what does option 23 actually run? So scripts, development, dashkin.bat. Option 23, generate service code, which is going to call generate service code.bat, which is going to call all this trash. It's looking at resources custom. Alright, so I need to rebuild my stuff here. And what I'm working on today is the mission export system and then persistence for the results of your missions. And what I'm putting together is kind of a blob storage system for some generic data, which will help out where I can go make systems that aren't going to take too long for persisting some basic information. And I can store that locally, and I can also store that online. And it's not going to be too crazy. So basically what will happen is if you're logged in, it'll use your logged in data for everything. And if you're not logged in, it'll use whatever it's got locally. So if you had mission 5 unlocked locally, but not online, and you logged in, it would be locked. And if you went to somebody else's house and played the game, and you logged in as yourself, all your stuff would be unlocked, right? So simple, that sort of thing. I don't know if you saw Adam was working on this is the post-stage screen, so he's been working on getting the styles looking a little bit more Brackenwood, but it's a work in progress. It's what? Resources, custom. So we can go template all this stuff out. We'll see if it does what it's supposed to do. And there's probably some errors in my templates now, because some of the templates, I believe, search for if the type is of string. So I'm going to need to check everything out to support this. All right, so let's fix all of this. dropped on just then. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. What is even going on anymore? All right, text, and text. Alright, so those all look good. I need to double check the other templates. Just in case I need to use them. And this is the benefits of having a templating system for all this stuff, is that I can basically go through and I can add a completely new data type, and I don't have to then wade through 2 million lines of code to do so. I can just wade through the templates and generate everything. We'll see how it goes. I've been okay so far with a few paths prefixed through Will I thoroughly test to make sure nothing got messed up in the process? You have not seen anything before just now today. Yeah, well, very good. So that is our table creation, and that does look correct. Let's go double check that our code generation actually did not cause compile errors. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to clean this project. Java's pretty nice in that its compile time doesn't take very long. You can do partial compiles too, so it's one nice thing about having Java as your online tool is it's pretty nice. Though C# has pretty much all the same benefits. Alright, cool. So that all built. Let's go double check that all of the stuff is building properly for our other stuff. Alright, so if we've got all of our data types, we're also going to need the GameData.json. We're going to need to have a save blob. So save user blob is another call that we need to do. So, and we're actually going to send up the blobs there, and the response is just going to be if it works or not. So blobs for that, and we'll get that. So I'll need to generate that after this compiles. You need to update Java at home. I mean, doesn't everybody? I mean, really the big thing with updating Java is if you use any Java web plugins or anything, but I'm pretty sure nobody does that. Otherwise, updating Java and all those security things isn't a big deal because like nothing you run is Java anyway. And it's not like you're downloading random Java programs from the internet and running them. I just think that's funny. You know, Minecraft used to be running in the browser in Java. It's just like, it's so nuts when you think about it. How screwed up is that? Yeah, it's one of the funny things with GameLift is GameLift uses Java for its process watcher, which makes sense because Amazon's all about the Javas. But their Windows Server 2016 AMI that they have doesn't have Java auto updates turned off, which you might think is a bad idea. But when you're running a server platform, it's actually better to have all that crap off because you don't want Java to update itself while you're running a Java program, and then something that was working now fails. You don't want any magic on your servers. You want your servers to explode when you tell them to explode, not any time before that. So, things should not auto-update unless they auto-update in a very specific way. You have it controlled. Every night at midnight, we auto-update. That's fine, but otherwise not. So you go log into one of their servers, and it's like popping up with notifications about thing needs to be updated. It's just like, an update's available. We downloaded it for your game server. Be like, yeah, don't install that, buddy. So it's kind of funny always going over all these things. Just like, are you for reals? It's how you know a product is not thoroughly put together well. It's the whole story of, we don't want any blue M&Ms. We want a bowl, and when we show up in the back room, there should be a bowl of M&Ms, and there should be no blue M&Ms in the bowl. It's not about the blue M&Ms. It's about that the stage crew is actually following instructions instead of just winging it. All right, we need to generate that new service call. But Karakan, I think you did miss the story about. You missed the story about Candy Dude, and you missed the story about cat children Dungeons and Dragons. So you're missing out on some good ones. All right, let's build this guy up again. Go back to Java land and look at these functions. You missed at least part of story time. That's true. Alright, so one of the things that we need to do is we need a new SQL window. So let's see if we can actually make this. 0 rows affected, so platform, tables, let's refresh the tables. We have a user blobs table, and it looks like it's of a text object. Collation UTF-8, alright. Alright, so let's go to test, and let's go to prod, and let's add those tables to the database. It's a sad day. Well, don't worry, I tell all my stories like 50 times, because I run out of stories eventually. It's alright guys, I'm just adding stuff on the production database. There's no cause for concern. Alright. So all the databases are updated. So to fetch a user's blobs, all right, so okay, so let's go ahead and snag the, we need the database. So we need the platform database. Let's see, that's in globals, services, databases. Is it game database wrapper? The game database, game SQL, that is the platform database. Excellent. So yes, we want the game database wrapper. Alright, so what we're going to need to do is get from the database based on these contexts. So we can just do this in order, actually. That's not a problem. Alright, the other question is, should we do any check and set variables for this? We're guaranteed to be bound on this object. I think we can just do a simple set, so if two people are modifying the blob at the same time, we're going to lose data. That's fine, who gives a damn? That's just how it goes in this universe. Don't call save 50 million times in a row, shit'll get wrecked. That's fine. It's a simple online persistage. Persistage? Yeah, it's a simple online persistage, so we'll be alright. So for string context in request.contexts, let's snag stuff. So user ID equals the call.get context.color ID. So if user ID is equal null or user ID.length equals 0, we're just gonna return forbidden. So if it's an error, we'll return an error. CC locking up on opening a second file. What the hell? What, Adobe Animate CC? Well, Flash having problems? No, it never happens. We never had entire FLA files be corrupted when we were working on Dragon Age Legends, resulting in weeks of lost work for artists. That never happened. Ever. Okay, so we're going to need to make a response object. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this game blob here. That's going to be blobres.get first. So if blob is going to be null, then we should just make a new one. So we'll set the account ID to user ID. We'll set the context to be context, and we will set the blob data to null. Actually, yeah, why don't we just set it to null? And we'll add it so it'll be what resp.blobs equals new array list of blobs. So we'll just do resp.blobs.add blob. Then we can just return service call response, okay, resp. Alright, so that will save all of our user blobs in the database. You're still happy you still have CS6 at home? If we would work on Flash here, really would be damned, yeah. Like, I guess you're using Toon Boom or whatever where you're working. What's that, like, Adobe products crashing? Never happens. After Effects is totally stable. Everything's fine. Alright. So what we're going to do is get our user ID as well. We're going to snag our database. And we are going to go through, so for game blob, and request.blobs. Let's set the account ID to the current user ID and set the blob context to nothing. Blob data is a string. All right. So what we have to do here is db.replace. I guess I could do replace batch into user blobs. Yeah, okay. So I'll just do that, and then we'll do request.blobs right here. So we'll fix up the account IDs so there's not some sort of screwy thing here. And then we're just gonna replace into it with the DB results. College managed to crash Harmony quite regularly though, no idea how they do it. I think it has to do with rendering and running out of memory, right? Let's see, failed to store blob in DB. Get that result, craft the error, otherwise we just return okay. Alright, so that is our server written for our blob storage. So that's done. And we can just go ahead and deploy that out there. So let's go. Let's deploy our blob information out to our database. So where is our Java? It's all mixed in here, isn't it? What a tragedy. Oh, these are all templates. Alright. It looks like it's all alphabetical by folder, so let's just look at this game data, content. Looks like all the stuff that is inside of here is just the gen for this stuff. So we'll snag this. Out of our change list, and it should be up here. So all this looks correct. Does it have our game data service container? This is all gen. I think I missed a file. I don't see the implementation. I think it's all... I need to refresh everything. Templates, type lookup, custom, definitions. I don't see any toolbox. Where is it? Is game data service implementation not checked into Perforce? Oh god. It wasn't checked in. Oh shit. That's kind of fucked up. I thought it was. So let's see. The game data service has not been fully made yet. Alright, so that has the mission data. Alright, so I didn't actually hook any of this crap up. Alright. So I need to do that next. Kirk screws up one time. Adam has been absolved of all sins forever. And I've got those auto build stuff too. So like if I'd actually been using this, it would have, failed to build, which I would have been able to fix. So I think it's funny. Alright, so let's snag this stuff. Refresh. Drag that over to there. All of this, we're gonna put in that guy. So local config. So what is this, the game data? This is the game data service implementation. So I don't think, like, we have the implementation of it. Alright, so we got missions enabled forward to clients. Get mission data updated. Why aren't we using this? Did I make something else? I know I made the game data thing, which was separate, but game data local missions, it's like the game data cache thing, right? It's been a while since I messed with this. And we've got the try load game data, mission data loading from S3. Get mission data is get missions from here, get current mission information, versions and missions. And this has no service calls. This thing is just grabbing the game data. So we have WD all game data, which has leaderboard rules, score stats, and everything like that. So missions are a separate beast right now. All right. So that this is called the game data service kind of sucks because we already have a game data thing. So let's call this the game data service in config. And we'll say enabled is true. Services.gameData. Let's change this to game data service. Like that. So local test configs. This goes after the app master. And we need to go to our Dash server and start up the actual game service. Alright, and let's make sure to add that to our change list. And let's go ahead and check that in and deploy it out there to test. Let's not do it yet. Let's actually run our server and make sure that our game data service is actually starting up. And to do that, I need to run memcache. Run local database. There it is. Alright, so it looks like it started it up. Most excellent. Creating new interval for Season 6. That's right. Season 6 exists. Alright. Adding configs for game data service. Implementation of game data service. Yeah, and that's what's cool about our server systems right now is I just made a new service. Looks like we had a build failure. Let me just go take a look at this. We are failing because failed to produce item because why? Error, a player proxy actor snap to position cannot access private member declared in class player proxy. Note C, a player proxy snap to position. Alright, so player proxy actor snap to position is broken. Well, I should be able to fix that pretty quick. Let's just make our master job server build. Alright, so proxy, player proxy actor. Yeah, so this guy is private, it should be public. That's kind of funny when we were dealing with blueprints. It could call that function regardless of it being private or not. Final tweak on light, and it'll be good. Hopefully get some real anime. Yeah, get to some real stuff. No luck. It's actually Friday now? Man. Alright, when did I lose a day here? I thought something was fucked up. I had Tuesday listed twice. Damn you weekdays, how dare you sneak up on me like that? Alright, local and test configs and credentials. We'll sync those up. I need to get a haircut. This is just ridiculous. All this trash on my head. Yeah, and since we now I have telemetry collection servers running over in Maelstrom's AWS. Like the systems I have now span not only multiple regions and multiple different data centers, such as AWS East, West, and whatever. It also spans AWS and Rackspace, so multiple different hosting providers, and now also multiple different AWS accounts. So I'm glad I wrote good tool infrastructure to be able to deal with all that shit. Otherwise, this would be impossible. Alright, so I need to deploy the Dashkin server.